Welcome to the Success Pick and Mix podcast. I'm your host, Nicky Raby, a professional pick and mixer. I'm a personal brand coach, a speaker, an actor, a creator, and a podcaster. I'm on a mission to help you find and create your version of success. Your pick and mix of life and business on your terms. A blend that complements your personality, your goals, and your circumstances. Since 2018, I've been sharing interviews and mini episodes to help you unlock your next step, to make it real and make it happen. Round here, we dream big. We go for the ideal version. We talk about money and make moves our future selves would be proud of. This podcast is free and available for you whenever you need it. So do rate, review, and subscribe for new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices and availability, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests. Now, on to today's episode. In today's episode, I'm talking to Greta Solomon, who is an author of 2 books, a business writing trainer, a Forbes.com contributor, and a creative writing coach on a mission to help people to better express themselves in writing. There are so many action points in this. Grab a piece of paper and a pen because I know you'll want to scribble away. I love the way that Greta talks about creativity and incorporating it into your life right now, actually making space for it rather than thinking of it as something that will happen one day in the future when you have oodles of spare time. I'm not quite sure when that would happen, but it's a really lovely way of looking at it. So if you do enjoy it, please rate, review, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It's so lovely to see that so many new people every week are discovering the podcast, and thank you so much for all your messages. I really love them, and this podcast seems to be in your life, in your bathtub, in your kitchen, in your bed. Happy days. Thank you so much. And also, if you want to find out more about any of the things that we talk about in the show notes, go over to the podcast on my page, nickyraby.com. Also, my coaching services, all that good stuff. It's all nickyraby.com or on Instagram at nickyraby. Here's the episode. I hope you enjoy. Hi, Greta. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Nikki. Thank you so much for having me. It's really wonderful to be here.
Oh, I'm so thrilled to have you. Thank you. Let's start with you. How would you describe what you do?
I am a speaker, an author of 2 books, and I'm really passionate about helping people to better express themselves in writing. So I do that through running writing workshops, both for business writing and writing for creative self-expression, and also through an online course and a free challenge that I do. And basically, I'm just somebody who has always loved writing and had to overcome my own kind of blocks, and it's inspired me to help other people do the same. And it's kind of my passion in life and what I really, really love to do.
Wonderful. And what has your own sort of writing journey looked like? How did it start from something that you enjoyed doing to being able to monetize it and make it your career?
Well, it actually started a long time ago. So I went to university at University of Warwick, and I graduated in 1999, long time ago, in psychology. And I had planned at that time actually to become a psychologist, and sort of last minute changed my mind back to my childhood dream, which was journalism. And I started working as a journalist pretty much straight out of university. I did a 3-month job in fashion PR, and that kind of introduced me to the world of magazines, and I understood how they worked behind the scenes because of that job. And then I got work experience at a magazine and stayed there for 18 months, and then got a job at a weekly magazine. It was a weekly women's magazine as a features writer, and that was kind of the dream job. And it was doing lots of celebrity interviews and lots of traveling, but it was really, really tight deadlines. And I kind of floundered quite a lot because although I was good at writing, it wasn't coming naturally. I felt really blocked and stifled, and really kind of felt that I couldn't express myself, and it was all a very stressful period. And I was on a short-term contract there because I was covering somebody's maternity leave. So when that ended, I decided that I would go freelance and that I would explore my creativity. So I actually went to drama school in the evenings and weekends. I did it 6 days a week while still freelancing. I did a lot of traveling, did a lot of travel writing, did a lot of voice work and stuff to really kind of find myself as a creative person again, which I felt had been sort of stripped away from me. And things started to shift, but it didn't really happen until I started studying lyric writing. That was 4 years later. This was 2006. I studied lyric writing at Berklee College of Music, and the techniques I learned through that, the techniques that songwriters use to get raw materials for their songs, really opened me up, and it really inspired me to want to teach writing. So that's when I first started monetizing it. That I went to work as a tutor. I signed up with an agency and started getting clients that way. And soon kind of word had spread around my area. It was kind of literally parents talking to one another, telling them there's this tutor who can really help your child get A grades. And my business really, really exploded from that. And since then, after that, I went got a real job, proper job in PR for 2 years. I did the tutoring for 2 years, and I went back into the corporate world for 2 years and did a PR job. And then after that, I launched my business, the one I've had now. So I've been doing writing coaching training professionally for, it must be about 8 years. It was 2011. My husband and I moved to Ethiopia on a 3-month sabbatical working for Save the Children, and that was when I delivered my first writing workshop for Save the Children staff, taking them out into the field, teaching them how to do stories, how to find good case studies and do interviews. And then I started working with businesses. We moved to Norway, started working with businesses, teaching them report writing, sales writing, and it's gone on from there. It's sort of been a very natural journey to where I find myself now, which is doing a lot of writing for creative self-expression, teaching business writing, but in a very creative way. And I hope that doesn't sound too confusing, because there's been many twists and turns, but I've kind of gone with the flow and always done what I felt was right, and just tried to keep myself expressed so that I can then do the same for my clients and the people I teach and train.
Oh, that's such a lovely way of saying it as well. And I was just thinking, actually, as you were speaking, I wonder what would have happened had you not sort of spent that time in terms of really thinking about your own creativity and getting back into that flow. And I guess I've had that with acting over the years, that I quickly learnt the hard way that when I was at drama school, I had 3 years of such intense, this is a beautiful playground where you can be whoever you want to be, or, finding yourself, basically. And then suddenly you're out in the real world and you have to cultivate that creativity. You have to find those ways to make you feel good and make inspiration work for you. Because I guess as well, you've had that structure of having to produce the material and actually get it out there, because I know I can fall into it sometimes, that blogging is actually quite a big part of my business, that I can't really wait for inspiration, because if I did, I would release something once every 2 years or something.
Yes, yeah, I totally understand that. And I think to go to your first point about what would have happened if I hadn't taken that time out, and I think to find my creativity again, and I think the honest answer to that is that I think I would have been very anxious and depressed had I not done that. Because when you know that you're a creative person, but you're finding that your creative impulses feel stifled, they feel blocked, or you don't feel like yourself, and if you don't then remedy that with creativity, you're only going to go and look for it elsewhere.
Yes.
You're going to shop too much, you're going to go to the pub too much, maybe get into the wrong relationships. And I just feel that it's kind of an overlooked piece of wellness and health. And I don't think we can find our happiness in dieting and exercise and drinking really nice smoothies and buying cookbooks. Even though I love, buying cookbooks that I don't use and drinking smoothies.
And we just look at the pictures.
Yeah.
Am I the only one? Like, oh, I would so do that in my dream kitchen, with my anthropology open shelves, for sure.
Yes. Oh, Nikki, I love anthropology.
I know,
yeah.
me too. I am my
best
self wandering around there, imagining my dream life.
But it's exactly that. Like, we think that our dream life is a certain look, a certain way of being, but it has to come from within. And when you can tap into your creativity, which is what I have endeavored to do my whole life, I suppose, and endeavored to keep it going, keep it flourishing, then you can create something that is truly beautiful, that feels good from the inside. And that's when your life starts to look better on the outside, once it's feeling really good within.
Yeah, I had a moment yesterday actually where I thought it was Wednesday, but it was actually Tuesday. I don't know why those days every week kind of stopped me in my tracks, but I thought it was a day where Matt, my partner, was around and he wasn't. And I suddenly thought, oh, well, I've got all this work to do. I'm going to try and juggle it. I've got a nearly 3-year-old. Well, that was just never going to happen. And I just thought, no, I'm going to take it time for us. But we went to Primrose Hill and Regent's Park, and I felt really creative just being in the sunshine and being really present with my son. And I think sometimes we can confuse creativity by going, right, I've got to churn out 1,000 words today, or I've got to do 8 hours at my desk and see what happens. But also it's the stuff out in the world that really nurtures that.
Yes, that's exactly right. And I always say to my clients, you have to prime yourself to be creative. And I really recommend, what you did yesterday, what you did the other day, which is going out, walking, using your senses, really looking at things, really listening for the sounds, really, really experiencing. And that is what gives you, the impulses to come back and actually write something really, really interesting, or do a piece of art, or just even, find a breakthrough that might mean that you change how you approach a business problem that you have. Because I think that the best ideas and the best strategies come from not strategizing with the mind, but strategizing with the heart, and waiting for the right answer to pop up. So, also, I always tell my clients as well to do things like chopping up vegetables. Anything that gets you into your body, out of your head, is going to put you in a state where at least you can create freely, and you can stop judging yourself, because you're out of your mind and you're in your body and heart space.
Yes, running has done that for me so much in terms of just getting that fresh air. And I think sometimes when I stop, I can feel that sense of overwhelm or anxiety or comparison, or just sort of feeling the weight of life. And let's not pretend that running our own business is all kind of anthropology times all the time. There's a lot of sort of stuff that goes with it, and just moving my body and changing your surroundings, as you say. What do you do for yourself to keep yourself topped up, so therefore you can serve your clients? Because we've just talked about you coming back from Norway and hosting a retreat there, and I know myself when I've done those workshops that it's a very intense period, because people come with what they want from the experience, but therefore in going through that experience other stuff comes up, so you can't go, right, it's 5 o'clock now, so see you in the morning. Sometimes it does rely on working through stuff or talking about stuff and really holding that space in a full way for them.
Yes, definitely. One thing I've learned to do is during the retreat period, for instance, or during a period where I'm required to be completely present, I've learned to take mini breaks. So, for example, during the retreat, I was retreating myself to my room and just lie down for 10 minutes.
Yes.
During the break, just, sometimes have a bit of music, just relax. And I come back and I feel revitalized again. So I've learned as an introvert, I have to physically remove myself from situations in a very gracious way, and then put myself back in. Then I can be myself and feel good. And the other thing that I've learned is that I need to move. So life has been very, very busy lately. And one thing I did just the other week was, I mean, I've got a 5-year-old daughter, and I've been taking her to dance class every Saturday for a year. But I haven't been taking myself to dance class, which is something that I love to do. And it just struck me the other day because I wrote something in my latest book about how my mum did this to us. How she wanted to play the piano when she was younger and couldn't because the piano wouldn't fit in her new house. And they tried to get it in and it wouldn't fit. And she had to abandon her piano playing. And she tried to get all of us to play the piano, but we didn't really like it. It didn't really, fit for us. And I kind of thought, I've been doing the same thing. I haven't been taking myself to dance class. So the other week I went to a street dance class where we did a routine to Aretha Franklin's Respect.
Oh my goodness.
And it's just soul filling.
Well, you can be that sort of invisible, that sort of internal person how you kind of see yourself in your head in a music video, but like let it all come out. And it's so good. And just checking in with all of that is so kind of key. I'd love to talk to you about blogging and how that sort of changed, because when I started my business in 2012, it was all about blogging, and Instagram was only sort of the portfolio, the Polaroid version of our lives that we occasionally shared our Sunday lunch. And slowly as it's moved, people write less. But for me, I really enjoy not only the picture on Instagram, but I love the caption as well. And I still want to read articles. I still want to kind of get out there. How have you helped people to navigate that shift as technology has changed?
Yeah, I encourage people to see blogging and Instagram as kind of a continuum, so that Instagram is just microblogging, and that it ought to be approached with the same kind of care and attention that you would a blog, so that you deliberately create a title, and that might be at the top of your Instagram post to sort of sum up your main message of what you're trying to say, that you do perhaps have a call to action at the end, not a salesy one necessarily, but keep bearing in mind what you want people to think or to feel or to do after they've read your post. And to also understand as well, because some people have said to me that, nobody wants to read a long blog post, so should they just give up their blog altogether and just do Instagram? And if people are engaged with you and really like you, they will invest their time and energy in you. So to kind of be mindful of that and to trust that people who like you will go where you are.
Yes. Yeah, one thing I've been trying recently is to read my blog posts out as an Insta Live, because I was like, I've got this performance background, but also I understand sometimes people don't have 15 minutes to read something, or if they're on the tube, they might not have the internet connection. And I just tried it, and it was really, it did feel slightly indulgent. My northern side came out like, story time with Nicky Raby, like this is what I've written. But actually I thought, I'm trying to kind of shake things up, I guess, and not follow that formula. And I think this can be sometimes a trap that we fall into, that we're trying to replicate other people's success, or, okay, that seems to work, so I'll just do that. However, I found the opposite, that I need to check in with myself and what feels really good to me.
I think that is a fabulous idea, what you've done with reading out the blog posts. And it's also reminded me of the real importance of reusing and repurposing our work. Because the only way I managed to produce such, this big catalogue of work is because I'm constantly reusing things, constantly taking something that I put on Instagram, putting it as part of my book, something that I wrote in an article a long time ago, then is rejigged into a different article, and everything's getting recycled and reused and revamped with new paint and new sparkles. And I think that's the way it should be. Otherwise, we can't keep reinventing the wheel. We have to just be more ourselves by reusing what we have. And people don't even know that you're doing that. They just appreciate that you're constantly providing them with information and help, or guidance, or, you know, entertainment, really.
Exactly. And given the fact that, you know, your audience is ever changing and growing and expanding, then something that you wrote in January 2017 will be equally as relevant to those new people. They're not going to go, excuse me, I think there has been 2 sentences that have been repeated. But I think also as well, this pops up with my clients all the time, is when you have that resistance to repurposing stuff or putting it in a new outfit, sometimes people feel like it's cheating or they can't do that. And I always get my clients to question, why are you doing that? Why are you making more work for yourself? And really going into the mindset stuff of that. Because sometimes it's that thing of, well, I'll just hide in being busy and creating more. I know sometimes I've had that in the past. Well, I'll just let my introvert self create more stuff, and then I don't actually have to deal with the hard stuff that I know ultimately is going to get my business out there. Woo, that's deep, but it's deep. You do have to question sometimes where it's coming from and where that resistance is.
Yeah, definitely. And if you look at brands, you know, look at like Nike, a Nike trainer. Really, every Nike trainer, I hope this is true, but, you know, it's a variation on a theme. They don't suddenly change the tick to a flower because they thought they should change it. They stick to a good thing and do variations on it, and it works for everybody, and it gets people invested in a particular idea, a particular stance, or you know, or frame of mind.
Yeah, and I think sometimes as well we love that idea of what we're going to expect and that familiarity. Like with Anthropologie, we were saying, you know pretty much what is going to be their brand and what's it all about, and that's why you go there. You want that kind of stuff. How has writer's block been for you? Because it is sort of, it's kind of seen as in that camp of the struggling artist or writer's block or the difficult second album, but sometimes there can be other stuff going on as well. How do you help your clients to really get back into that flow of actually getting the words on the paper or the computer?
Yeah, well, I kind of tell them that there's 3 ways to look at it. So you have to, first of all, look at your mindset and look at the sort of limiting beliefs that might be behind your writing. For example, some people who may have had a diary that a parent or a partner read and broke their trust, they may be sort of repeating a mantra to themselves, you know, I don't feel safe when I write, I don't want anyone to read this. Or they may just have a sort of a deep-seated fear that their writing's really bad because they remember their teachers at school, you're just crossing out all the mistakes and, you know, shaming them. So it's kind of a lot of deep work that can be done to just drill down and see what exactly are you thinking about yourself and your writing. And that can be a source of the block, you know, that basic mindset stuff. The other thing that can be a source, and then you have to sort of, create affirmations and work through that. The other way that you might be blocking yourself is that you are actually just writing just from the head and just thinking that you ought to sit at your desk and think beautiful thoughts and they should just flow on the page, and trying to make writing too clean in a way and too sterile.
Yes.
And I kind of encourage people to think of it as being dirty, messy. You know,
and I have the worst handwriting, so I'm kind of I do need to go through that like really ugly stage with it.
Yes, but that's perfect. The more kind of messy and that you can move around, you can go for a run, come back, you're all sweaty, and that gets you out of your head and you're on the page, and that can fix the block as well. So, and doing other creative writing exercises as well can help get you out of your mind, and I teach a lot of those as well. But the third thing that you have to ensure that you don't remain blocked, that you remain unblocked rather, is to understand your craft and to actually know what you're doing. Because if you figured out all your mindset stuff, you feel great, you're getting down, all the words are coming out, but then you think, oh no, actually I don't know how to write this novel, I've no idea you know, how I should be structuring this, and oh gosh, you know, you're just going to get blocked again. So it's also about constantly learning tools and techniques So it becomes a virtuous cycle. You know what you're doing, you feel confident, your mindset is clear, you feel free in your body and your mind, and you will never be blocked again if you have those three things. It's impossible. You can just, life can get in the way, but then you can understand its ebbs and flows. Definitely. And you always have tools to fix that.
And understanding your own rhythms as well of, you know, I think there's sometimes those images of people like, I pour myself a bottle of red wine and, you know, have some cigarettes and all the rest of it. And actually, I do not do my best creative work late at night. And certainly when I've worked in the theatre, I've really had to train myself to stay awake and, you know, remain fresh and all the rest of it, because 7:30 is not my best time of day. But I don't know how many people would come and see a show at 8 a.m. But it's kind of, yeah, understanding yourself in that as well, because I think as well we feel like there is a way that you should do something. Oh my goodness, that can be so stifling.
Yes, it's so stifling. And it's also because these experts have come at us and said, you should get up an hour early and write every day, or you should do 1,500 words a day. And it's just been so detrimental to so many people. And you're completely right, Nikki. You just have to do whatever you want. You do 5 minutes in the car while you're waiting to pick up somebody. That's 5 minutes of writing. It has to be less precious. You know, 30 minutes before you go to bed at night. And certainly on this retreat that I just ran, I invited everybody to make a plan of how they would get their writing done, and everybody's plan was different. We all have different lives, we have different work, different personalities. There's no two plans that were the same as to how they would actually get their writing done and what their process would be.
And there's no sort of secret magic formula where it's like, oh, just do this and you'll have a best-selling book or anything like that. I went to a talk once with Victoria Wood, and somebody was sort of looking to try and get inside her brain, like, what are the 3 keys to the success? And one thing that she said was, I write every day. Because she said, I just like that feeling of my pen on the paper, but sometimes I have nothing to say, so I write rubbish, like, there's a girl, she's wearing a red hat, the end, and then literally scribbles it out and throws the piece of paper in the bin, recycles, I'm sure. But it's that sense of like, okay, I've done my work for today, it's not coming, today's not the day, move on.
Yes, and I would add to that there are certain building blocks that make up a great book, you know, that make up a great article. And that's what I teach. I teach you the building blocks. And then you have to create your own templates and your own structures.
Yeah, I guess what would be some of the things that do really help practically?
So, for example, well, what you can do, say you wanted to write a really great blog post, is to take a few different blog posts that you like from different writers and start to break them down into their components. So literally break down the title, the opening, think what kind of opening is it? Have they opened with like a story or a quote or some kind of question? And see, have they used lots of analogies? Have they used lots of descriptions, and start to see different discrete elements. And if you do that for a few different pieces, you'll see that people have used all the same components and they've just structured them in very different ways.
Yeah.
And some people always use the same kind of structure because that becomes their signature.
Yeah. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, I think that's part of their style and part of their creative journey. And I guess coming back to it is that people are craving that. You know, somebody like, I don't know, Johnny Depp as an actor, you know, as soon as he's on the bill, what you're kind of going to expect, as in you don't know what you're going to expect because it's going to have some sort of quirky twist on it.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of like you have to, I think you have to go through this self-development journey to be a really sort of self-expressed artist, creative, or, you know, an expressed person in the world. But then it's about pulling yourself back and actually seeing what works for you, and repeating that, and being your version of Johnny Depp, or you know.
Yes, my task for Wednesday. Yeah, you're right. How did your publishing journey start in terms of your books? Because there's the old age thing of everybody feels like they've got a book in them, but so many people have never even attempted that as an actual thing. How did that start for you?
Well, I remember the exact day actually, my first book. My first book is called Just Write It. And I'd been tutoring my students all week and I just thought, oh, I'm so exhausted. I think I'm going to write a book about my methods instead of actually delivering them live.
Yes.
And I drove to Borders. There was a Borders bookshop near where I lived. And I spent the day writing the first draft of my proposal. I literally just poured it out because I was in such an emotional state thinking, I really want to write this book. I really have to do it. I just poured it out. And I refined it. I bought a book called How to Write Successful Self-Help and How-To Proposals. And I literally followed it to the letter and revised this proposal, got a couple of sample chapters together and just started sending it out. And I got my deal the very old-fashioned way because I sent it out to the slush piles and I got picked up from the slush pile at McGraw-Hill. Wow. And my editor said it's never happened before. She'd never seen that happen before, but it was the strength of a really good proposal that made her call me up. She sent me an email and then we had a little chat and yeah, they went to the board, they signed it off and that's how I got the first deal.
And how did that feel? Had that been a long-term dream or was it just something that organically happened?
It was a long-term dream and it was a long process as well. I started writing the book 2008. I didn't get the deal until 2011 because I was stopping and starting.
That's so good for people to know because actually I've released an episode today about everybody wants, you have to calm your inner Veruca Salt of like, I want it now. That actually sometimes these things take time.
Yes, it takes time. You have to give yourself loads of time and expect the rejections. I had loads of rejections, but I also had some interest. Since I started sending out the proposal, I joined the Society of Authors, and it was through their advice that I actually turned down, I think, 2 or 3 publishing deals because they advised me not to take them. So I also had to hold out for the right deal, and that's something that I think we as people struggle to do. It's okay to turn down a deal if it's not a good deal.
Yes. That is so good. And I feel like sometimes, when people left drama school, like, well, I've got an agent. I don't like them, but I've got an agent. And you're like, why? Why is this person looking after your career then? It feels so weird. And how have you managed to really step into this sort of being a full-time creative? Because I think sometimes we can feel like that's the thing that we want to do, but what that actually looks like in reality can be quite different from the dream of, just sort of wandering around Hampstead Heath having a lovely time.
Yeah, you work harder than ever.
Yes.
Really. In that 2 years where I worked in PR, it was so much free time and space, because you just work 9 to 5. You work really hard during that time and you have all this free time and space around that. So I find that, I'm working early mornings because I have a daughter as well. So I'm working within school hours, working sometimes late at night. But there really is no other alternative for me because this is just who I am. So I think, although sometimes I do have that fantasy, and I think we all do, if you're a creative, you think, oh, if only I just had a job, it'd be so much easier. I'd get sick pay then. And, I could wouldn't have to find my own clients. But that is just a fantasy because I'd want to be out the door quite soon because I want to do my own work.
And you'd be like, well, I don't like the way this is. Why don't we change it? You'd be starting I always feel like I would be like starting a little revolution of like, we could do this better. Why is this system in place? Like, let's mix it up,
Exactly.
Take the day off, everybody. Yeah. Let's all go to Hampstead Heath, yeah.
Yeah, I love Hampstead Heath.
Yeah, quite. And what helps
Yeah.
you in terms of practically structuring your week? I mean, I'm not even going to ask the balance question because I think it's nonsense, and especially as a creative, it's every week is different. But what sort of regimes really help you to make sure that you get things done and keep on top of things, but also have that space for you?
So, yeah, like you're right, things happen in seasons, so it really does vary. But I suppose in terms of, I'm naturally quite disorganized, but sort of organized at the same time. Like I don't have, I have sort of long-term plans, but I don't follow them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'll make a plan and I'll forget about it. I think that works much better because it's in my subconscious then. I sort of know what I'm doing. And I don't know, this is actually quite a hard question because I just sort of get things done. I tend to do the tasks for which I'm in the right energy zone for, to be honest. Because if I don't feel like doing my accounts, I'm not going to do them very well if I don't feel like doing that at that right moment. I have to wait until I feel more grounded and more sort of willing to do methodical work. If I really feel in the flow of writing an article, then I'll do that then. You know, if I have a Forbes piece that I have to write, I'll think, oh, I'll do that now while I'm in the mood to do that. So it is a very sort of feeling-based thing. But of course, if I have deadlines, then I just get the deadlines done, no matter how I feel. You know, if my publisher's waiting for something and I don't feel like it, I'll just do it anyway. So I don't know if that answers the question, but I sort of try and go by feeling.
Yeah, you're right. And I think sometimes it is a losing battle if you're trying to battle to get something done when it's just not happening that day, that you have to shake it up a little bit. I have one final question for you. Well, actually two. What I was going to say, has there been a book that has really inspired you, or that you always come back to, or has just like made you think about things in a different way?
Yeah, I love that question. I'm going to choose actually a book that I haven't read for a long time, but I read this book in 1999 after I graduated, and it was called Why Good Girls Don't Get Ahead, But Gutsy Girls Do.
Brilliant.
By Kate White. Yeah, and I have to just say that this book just woke me up, basically, because we're not given any proper career advice when we leave university. Certainly I wasn't.
No.
And no life advice. And it encouraged me to go after the things I really want, to show that I'm passionate about things, never hold back, and just to travel. I remember there was stories about, you know, traveling, about seeing the world. It was about going after everything you want. And I think for someone like me, it was just a godsend and it was written by a magazine journalist, by Kate White, the former editor of Cosmopolitan in the States. Yeah. And it's just so inspiring. And I think, I just never forgotten it. We'll never ever forget that book.
And I think that's really lovely. And I'm sure that in lots of different ways that book has stayed with you and you've shared that message with other people. Because I think I said it on the podcast a little while ago. I was at an audition not so long ago, and Matt was actually going up for something, but it's something different, but in the same studio. And we took Oscar, and then we kind of tag teamed it, which is not ideal, but he was, very well behaved that day. And I was talking to a woman that I knew who was 10 years younger than me, and she said, I'd sort of eliminated the possibility of having children because actresses don't really have kids, do they? And I was like, wow. Interesting. That's so ingrained. And I felt like it was my duty that you go, no, we've sussed it now. Don't worry. Like, there are other options out there, and you don't have to just play by the rules that perhaps we were presented in the old system.
Yeah, exactly, Nikki. Like, it's exactly what you said. It's about, I don't believe in playing by the rules. And that's the only way I've been able to do the things I've been able to do. If I played by the rules and done things properly, I wouldn't have been a journalist in the first place.
Yes.
Didn't have any journalism qualifications. you know. No one would have employed me. I had to go down the back door, you know, and say, hello, can I have some work experience? I'll make some tea for you, you know.
That's so brilliant. And I heard an interview with Jo Malone the other day, and she was saying that she never wants, because she's dyslexic, she never wants people to feel like they are any less just because they need to learn in a different way. And I just thought that was so crucial, and especially with your daughter and with my son, that I'm really just thinking like, okay, what do you need? What is the best way that you understand information, and do that? I mean, I'm not saying that he listens the whole time, but no. It's kind of figuring that out. Finally, where would you like to be in 5 years' time?
You know, I really feel on purpose like I'm living the path I'm supposed to be living. So I would really like to just be doing the same, writing more books, traveling, doing more writing retreats, having fun with my family, with my daughter, my husband, having fun with friends. Just, I don't see any kind of major shift. I'm kind of just want to keep living my life. Do you know what I mean? And being
That's a lovely way
happy.
To be.
Yeah, I feel like I just want to more, you know, that thing where they say more thank you, more please. That's what I want.
Yeah, and I guess it goes back to that thing, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I think that was one thing I was just going to say earlier that I forgot to say, that sense of sometimes, because one of the blocks that can stop the writer's block or stop the creativity is that limiting belief, like, oh, I've had everything that has been possible for me, or I've had success, how can I have success again? And it pops up so often, or success in one area of your life, so it feels greedy to want more. But you know, we're multifaceted women, there's all kinds of stuff that we're cooking.
There's no limit to how much you can have. There's always more. But of course we get taught to think that there's limits to everything. And what is success anyway? That's the thing, because we're just labeling things that, you know, the success you have now may not even be comparable to the success you have in the future, because your definition of success might completely change or open up. So it's kind of about just sort of going by feeling. How do you feel? If you feel you want more, then great. Because when you get more, people around you get more as well.
Yes.
So then everybody's winning, which I think is perfect.
Totally. And we sometimes get those looks from our family, you know, from your parents or your partner or your husband or whoever it might be, where they know the true you. And if you're not being lit up, they're like, they can just see it. They know that you're not being the full version of yourself. If people want to come and find out more about your retreats, about you, and read all your brilliant things, where should they go?
So the best place to go for everything is my website, which is www.gretasolomon.com. And you'll see I have a free 5-day creative writing challenge there, and also an online creative course. And Instagram. I love Instagram. So I'm on Instagram at instagram.com/greta.solomon. So please come say hi. And I love photography, actually, taking pictures. So that's my absolute favourite platform to be on.
Wonderful. Brilliant. Oh my goodness, I've loved this chat, and I know that I've got something that I need to write this afternoon, so this has really inspired me. Thank you. And I'll try and do more than Victoria Wood did, of like just write 2 sentences and scribble them in the bin. But I tried to write this thing, you know, a few days ago, and I was like, no, it's not the right time. So this has given me the little nudge that I need. So thank you so much. I've loved chatting.
Oh, thank you so much, Nikki. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you haven't already, feel free to rate, review, and subscribe for all the brand new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices, availability, or just to have a chat with me, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests, and I'll see you next time.